So it's May 24th, 2021, and yesterday I went shopping at Walmart, and half of the shoppers weren't wearing a mask. So here in Washington State, you can leave your mask off if you're fully vaccinated 2 weeks after your last dose. And I'm going to be wearing a mask for as long as I could get away with it because it made me much more uh, uh, unafraid of asking for things that I never would have dreamed of asking. I sometimes get very shy when I'm worried about my facial expressions. Hopefully, this video will show that I'm a lot more eager to push boundaries when I have my mask on. Let's see how this video goes. So I first noticed this last year when I was negotiating at my Airbnb. I had booked the Airbnb for 3 weeks at the beginning of the pandemic because I thought that was all the pandemic was going to last. And at the end of the 3 weeks, I needed to look for another place, but I was going online, and to my dismay, everything had locked down. And then I noticed that Governor Inslee of Washington had signed this emergency eviction moratorium. We could basically stay in place and pay the same rent as long as we've been there for, I think, you only needed to be there 2 weeks for that to apply. So even if you were living in an Airbnb and for the same, you could extend it at the same rate. And normally I'd be pretty shy about pushing my boundaries, even if it's my right to do so with the landlord. I had my mask on, and it didn't seem so bothersome anymore. Yeah, I mean, it did cause quite a bit of conflict between myself and the landlord. We had returned to work in the office last August, and it was my first time stepping foot into the door at the workplace. I work at a tutoring center, and I went in and I realized, I have a problem. The owner, he loves to use lots and lots of air fresheners. And I was only there for 2 hours that first time, and I got a massive headache. And I was able to talk him out of using the air fresheners. I offered to get him other air fresheners. He didn't even realize he was using them. That's how dumb it was. And as soon as he realized I had a problem, he got rid of them. But see, had I not had my mask on, my facial expressions, stuff like that really angers me. Because I love working with the students, and to have a barrier that's completely outside of the scope of the work, this is really bothersome. I mean, if I had a true conflict with work, right, if the students and I didn't get along at the same wavelength, if I didn't know the material to tutor it, I could accept that. I just need to look for a better fit, right? But when the work is a good fit, but the peripherals, like the air freshener, or maybe I have to deal with COVID kind of problems, maybe I have to deal with a coworker harassing me. You get the idea, right? That really bothers me. If the work doesn't match, then it doesn't match. But when it does, and then other things come in the way, that's when it really bothers me. But I sailed right through it because I had my mask on. It didn't bother me to ask for that accommodation. I ask for favors a lot easier when I have my mask on because I'm not so shy about my facial expressions. Where else have I done this? When I was traveling in Wallace, Idaho, this was last December, January. Few people wear a mask over there. I mean, the cases were going out of control at that time. And still nobody wanted to wear a mask. And I really felt like I had an upper hand every time I was negotiating. I lived in 2 different Airbnbs there. What else did I do there? Just various negotiations felt much easier to handle. I got pulled over one time by a police officer, and I didn't get a ticket. And I think part of the reason was that when I had my mask on, it made it much easier to open up and be a little bit more friendly, right? And I get very shy, especially when I get pulled over, and sometimes the way that the officers question you, right? Especially if you're already in a bad situation, right? So I'm kind of camping out in Wallace. A lot of people dislike people like me, right? Who leave a big city and drive up the rents in Wallace, and so it becomes a little bit embarrassing as it is already, right? And so on top of that, you know, you have other issues going on, right? Obviously, part of the reason everybody knows part of the reason is you're trying to save some living expenses, so maybe you got financial problems going on. And it just becomes really embarrassing to talk. And sometimes in the officer's mind, he might think you're trying to hide something, right? Are you trying to hide drugs that you got on you, or whatever the case is, right? But with the mask on, it kind of reduced the barrier of talking about things like just little chit chat, right? And that really helped to ease things quite a bit. So I'm probably going to keep my mask on for as long as I can get away with it.